guys, I started at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I just stopped at the rest area to use the bathroom because I don't, you know what I mean, stretch my legs a little bit. I started to feel kind of tired again, but I'm all good to go now. I'm gonna run all the way to Tempe, Arizona. Should take me probably 3 hours. Just depends, maybe a little less than that. So, let's get rolling. So after I drop, this load, I'm gonna head to Chandler, and I'm gonna see my aunt because she wants to see her nephew, I guess. So I won't be running again until Thursday. So yeah, let's get rolling. Haven't heard from Scott. Been kind of worried. He's getting old, so hopefully he didn't get the coronavirus.
Shut down Orange County beaches. Newport Beach is also suing the governor in federal court. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Texas will allow hair salons to reopen Friday, but one owner in Dallas who reopened early is in jail this morning.
Shelley Luther has kept her hairstyling business, Salon à la Mode in Dallas, closed through all the shutdown orders due to COVID-19. But now she's headed to jail for 7 days because she opened back up. A judge Tuesday demanded Luther apologize for, in the judge's words, being selfish by opening her business. Luther refused, saying she isn't being selfish for wanting to feed her own children by working. Evan Brown, Fox News.
Someone else got jail time in Pennsylvania for also not following orders.
An Erie County, Pennsylvania woman found out the hard way it's best not to violate quarantine orders when you're positive for COVID-19. She was told to stay home, but she didn't, going shopping and keeping appointments. And when a judge found out, he sentenced her to a night in jail. And when she got out, he fit her with an ankle bracelet to make sure that she stays home for at least another week.
That's Fox's Rick Leventhal. On Wall Street stocks could rise up again. Dow futures up more than 100 points. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. One of the reasons that most of the Western world embraced unprecedented mass quarantines this spring was due to the work of a single man, a man you may have not have heard of. He's a British academic called Neil Ferguson. Ferguson is a professor at a college in London, but he's also something of an international celebrity. He is best known for his dire predictions about pandemics. Ferguson seemed especially panicked by the Wuhan coronavirus. At one point, he suggested the coronavirus might be comparable to the Spanish flu of 1918, the pandemic that killed up to 100 million people. On February 28th of this year, as the disease spread throughout Europe, Ferguson publicly endorsed the Chinese model of quarantine specifically. Now keep in mind that as Ferguson spoke the words you're about to see, videos were circulating on the internet showing police in Wuhan throwing screaming citizens into the back of panel trucks and driving them to some unspecified internment somewhere. Ferguson must have known that the Chinese government's response in Wuhan was extreme and utterly inhumane. He endorsed it anyway. That's how serious Neil Ferguson was about this virus.
One has to adopt sort of community measures which have been adopted particularly in places like Wuhan and China, where you try to reduce contact between people in the community. So the sorts of measures which are important are, first of all, if anybody has any sort of respiratory disease, cold, anything, stay at home until those symptoms are fully resolved.
Seems like kind of a reserved academic, and all of a sudden he's endorsing the Wuhan response. Leaders around the world paid attention to this. They took Ferguson's advice and locked down their entire populations. The British government asked Ferguson to help design its quarantines as a member of the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergency, SAGE. Ferguson was happy to help shut down the entire United Kingdom, but it turns out he wasn't that interested at all in participating in it personally. Today, the Telegraph newspaper reported that Neil Ferguson ignored his own lockdowns. While the rest of London stayed trapped indoors, indeed the rest of the country, Ferguson repeatedly invited his married mistress over to his apartment for sex. And then perhaps most striking of all, he was infected with the coronavirus at the time. Neil Ferguson became sick and tested positive in mid-March. We know this because he said so publicly at the time. Not long after that, he invited his mistress over. By doing this, he exposed her to a deadly virus. He also exposed her husband and her children back home. When confronted today, Ferguson said this, quote, "I acted in the belief that I was immune." That was his explanation. The problem is there is no scientific proof that that's true. Can someone who was sick a few weeks ago still transmit the coronavirus? We're not sure. For a famous scientist, Neil Ferguson is curiously ignorant of science. He's also obviously an appalling hypocrite, and he's not alone in that. So many of the people making our policies are like this. Almost compulsively, again and again, they do the very things they punish us for doing. When they're caught, they acknowledge no shame. They are entirely lacking in self-awareness. They have no idea how absurd they are. They discredit themselves without even realizing it. Almost immediately after telling the rest of New York City to stay inside, for example, Mayor Bill de Blasio loaded up his SUV with government bodyguards and headed for the gym across town in Brooklyn. The government spokesman later explained the trip was necessary because de Blasio's gym, quote, has been a huge part of his and his family's life. Oh, okay, that makes sense. De Blasio likes his gym, so he kept going there, despite telling you not to. Got it. Weeks later, de Blasio still couldn't stay out of Brooklyn for some reason. One day, he and his wife left their home in Manhattan, Gracie Mansion, and drove more than 10 miles to Prospect Park in Brooklyn for some sunshine and some fresh air. A stunned citizen happened to see the whole thing and videotaped it. Here's what happened.
Seriously, you guys have a park. You live in the middle of the park. You don't need to not essentially travel to Brooklyn. Come on, you won't even open roads for people of all backgrounds. I'm not going to give it a break. Like, this is selfish behavior. This is the epitome of non-essential travel.
Non-essential travel? What's that? When you make the rules,
up,
that's not even a category. Just ask Justin Trudeau, the preachy Prime Minister of Canada. On April 12th, Trudeau released a video commanding Canadians to stay in their homes for Easter. It's what Jesus would do, he declared.
So as we reflect on Jesus' message of love and compassion, let's think about our healthcare workers and essential service workers who are on the front lines every day. Let's put into practice what it truly means to love our neighbors as ourselves by making sacrifices to protect their health.
I don't know what's up with Scott. I haven't seen him for 24 hours.
That's the kind of quarantine Jesus endorses.
You should give us updates once in a while, you know?
For you, not for them. Not long after recording the video you just saw, Trudeau left the capital and traveled all the way to Quebec to visit his family at their lake house, just like you'd want to do on Easter, if you were allowed to do that, but you're not allowed, so stop complaining. You might also want to get your hair cut. People do, and in Chicago last month, that was not allowed. You couldn't get your hair cut. But the city's mayor, Lori Lightfoot, had her hair done anyway. When she was caught doing this, Lightfoot didn't even blush. Now, we played this clip for you on Friday's show, but it's one of those videos that no matter how many times you watch it, drops your jaw every time.
I'm the public face of this city. I'm on national media, and I'm out in the public eye. And, you know, I'm a person who, I take my personal hygiene very seriously. As I said, I felt like I needed to have a haircut. I'm not able to do that myself, and so
I'm listening to Fox News Talk Radio.
Got that? Shut up, trolls! I'm on national television. Chris Cuomo knows that.
Instead of
very
watching
well.
the news, I could listen to
CNN
it.
anchor drove to a piece of property he owns in the Hamptons, where apparently he's building a new
I'm
weekend
addicted.
house. At the time, Cuomo was infected with the coronavirus and suffering from symptoms. He was supposed to be quarantined in total isolation in his basement full time. That's what he told his television audience he was. Night after night, Cuomo put on shows that revolved around his struggles with the illness and his virtuous, even selfless efforts to prevent others from getting infected with it. Given all the publicity he was generating for being sick, at least one Hamptons resident was shocked to see him out and about and confronted Cuomo about it. Cuomo responded by calling the man a, quote, jackass loser. The man's real name is David Whalen. We invited him on the show to hear his story.
I just said, don't you have the coronavirus? Shouldn't you be quarantined? And I think his next words were, what the hell do you know about this? What do you know about the rules? I said, you're not supposed to be out here. Nobody had gloves on. Nobody had masks on.
Oh, did you hear that detail? No gloves, no mask. An infected man circulating among an unsuspecting population. When you watch television, you imagine Chris Cuomo is a responsible journalist. That's how he often describes himself. In fact, he's Typhoid Mary. And there's a vast gap between those two personas. For the average person, hypocrisy is the most embarrassing thing of all. Getting caught the way Chris Cuomo did would spur an existential crisis in most people. You might decide to devote the rest of your life to personal humility in response. You might move to Paraguay in shame and never speak in public again. But not Chris Cuomo. He didn't look back. He blamed the other guy and kept going. Cuomo was right there on television just last night, haranguing people for doing precisely what he did.
But there's also fatigue. I've had it. Season's changing. It's getting warm. Want to get back to it. Look at these fools. Fools. I know they want to be out there. Fools. It's not about you. What about the other people? And look, I'm not going to castigate you. That's not my job. I'm not your daddy.
Fools. It's not about you, says the buff CNN anchor. Because if there's one thing in this world that Chris Cuomo just can't stand, it's narcissism. He hates it. It doesn't seem to occur to Chris Cuomo for a moment that he may be actually describing himself. It never occurs to any of these people. It's never one time occurred to Chris Cuomo's brother, the governor of New York. Andrew Cuomo just gave a pungent press briefing, as he so often does. Maybe you saw it. If not, watch this clip and tell us what you notice.
I think it's disrespectful of people not to wear masks. I mean, think about it. Do I think local government should be enforcing it? And should there be sanctions? Yes. Yes. Because it is a public health emergency. And I think there should be a penalty. Because you could literally kill someone. You could literally kill someone because you didn't want to wear a mask.
Hear that, Dumbo? You're hard of hearing? Listen up. It's disrespectful. You could literally kill someone by not wearing a mask. Says the man not wearing a mask, who happens to be sitting next to other people who are not wearing masks. Do they hear themselves when they talk like this? On some level they do. They know they're hypocritical frauds, and that's exactly why they lecture you so hysterically. It makes them feel better. They probably suspect you know it too. It's just so obvious. They simply don't care enough about your opinion to bother with what you think. That's all of them. This would be infuriating if these people didn't run the world. But it's worse than that, because they do. As we said at the top, maybe no single person has done more to lock down Western civilization than Professor Neil Ferguson of London. Novelist and former New York Times reporter Alex Berenson has followed Ferguson's career as closely as anyone has for months. And he joins us tonight to discuss Ferguson's legacy. Alex, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. So for viewers who aren't, oh, absolutely, it's our honor, who aren't steeped in the recent history of Neil Ferguson, why should we care that he's a hypocrite?
Well, I mean, this is an incredibly important scientist in this. As you've said a couple of times,
I hate when cars park around the bend
important person
when they break
in
down.
driving governments to implement these lockdowns.
I know sometimes you can't handle it, but sometimes you
a front
can.
page story that highlighted Imperial College and mentioned him by name as having the ear of the British government and Boris Johnson. Just today, when he was forced to resign because he didn't follow his own rules, or the rules that the British government had put out, the Guardian said, again, referred to how important he
was. And there's no question he violated the lockdown, by the way. He said on March 18th, he tweeted that he had symptoms of the coronavirus, and he met this woman on March 30th. That is not outside the 2-week limit. It's within the limit. There's no way around that. Now, one of the great ironies here is she said, oh, well, I thought it was his one household. Now, I don't know what her husband or children think of that.
So, I mean, the irony here is overwhelming, but at its root, it's a real person making these decisions, and I wonder, what does it tell you about what Neil Ferguson actually thinks? He not only violated the quarantines he espoused, but he exposed other people to the virus. What does it tell you?
So this is a great question, and with the way people behave, it suggests that they are much more aware of where the risks really are here. And we know, by the way, I'm getting sick of people saying we don't know that much about this virus, we don't know enough to know what the right steps are. Well, first of all, if that's true, why we shut down the world? But second of all, we do know a lot about this virus, and we know that the average age of death in the United States and worldwide is probably about 80 or 82. And we know that about half, if not more, of the people who die in the United States are dying in nursing homes or are nursing home residents and long-term care residents. We know enough that we know we should protect those people, and instead our leaders are spending time haranguing us about masks and destroying the economy with lockdowns, and every day it makes less sense, and every day it's more infuriating, Tucker.
So it sounds like you're suggesting that some of the people espousing these measures, which are really warping and destroying in some cases our society, know that they're really not necessary.
Well, if they don't know, they're fools and haven't read the data, which is publicly available, which is available, on their own government websites. And if they do know, I just don't know what they're doing. And I honestly, you and I have talked a couple of times, and for a month I've been waiting for the reality of the data to start to hit people, and it's been very, very slow. Many states have these phased-in lockdown plans that have very, very unrealistic benchmarks. Oregon's benchmarks are crazy. New York's benchmarks, Illinois' benchmarks. Many of the blue state lockdown states have these benchmarks that are very, very difficult to meet. And I honestly, I mean, is it going to take people on the streets? That seemed to help a little bit in California last week. I don't know what it's going to take for people to start being realistic here. I mean, not people, but lawmakers.
Well, that's right. Let me ask you one last question. You just said that about half of the deaths have taken place in long-term care and nursing homes, which is really sad. But it raises the obvious question, why aren't we going all in on protecting the people in long-term care and nursing homes? We're not at all.
No, we're not.
That's a fantastic question. Why doesn't every nursing home get surveyed by a state every day right now? Why aren't the nursing homes being required to show staff plans that they're going to not let staff members, infect uninfected older people? Why isn't this the focus? There are things we could and should be doing, but when we're spending all our time, again, trying to scare people who are very low risk and very successfully, Tucker, one of the incredibly sad things about this is how many people won't go outside. They will not leave their homes. By doing that, we are doing exactly the wrong things. And look, I don't know. I don't make policy. All I can do is point out these hypocrisies, as you so brilliantly just did.
Alex Berenson, who would have won a Pulitzer this week if the system had been fair for your reporting on this, which has been really ahead of almost everyone. Great to see you tonight. Thank you for this.
Thanks, sir.
We're going to have more in a minute in this hour on the question of nursing homes. Nursing homes really have been crushed in the way that most communities haven't by this virus. And our government isn't responding in the way you'd think they would if they cared. Why? For now, for the past 6 weeks, politicians across the country have banned so-called elective medical procedures. And as a direct result of these misguided orders, millions of Americans have been denied essential care. Some have died. But it turns out that a number of specific procedures have been exempted from the lockdowns. Abortions, famously, are now deemed essential, thanks to and only thanks to the massive campaign contributions of the abortion lobby, Planned Parenthood's gifts to the Democratic Party. And there are other procedures, too. Cosmetic procedures are also allowed. They're not available to you. You can't get them. You're going to have to live with your sagging neck and wrinkles. But they apparently are available to certain governors and congressional leaders. And we know this because it's obvious. Several times in the last couple of weeks, we've been contacted on this show by plastic surgeons who are watching after we played tape of Democratic politicians. And they confirmed it unequivocally.
Good morning, Charles.
Had work done, and recently.
How's it going?
Restylane, cheek implants, various other cosmetic enhancements.
I hope you're okay with listening to Fox News.
But in all circumstances, we've never talked about it either because it's nobody's business and it's embarrassing.
I like to listen to talk radio.
Circumstances, when people in wheelchairs are banned from getting knee replacements, we have an obligation to talk about it. Reporters ought to ask these politicians, and it's very obvious who they are. Point blank. When exactly did you get your work done? Please explain that, why that was an essential medical procedure. Even by the standards of being nauseating hypocrisy we're accustomed to from our political class, this is too much. Botox for
think is bullshit, but whatever. Can't agree with everything.
All right, finally, states are meeting to reopen. Senator John Kennedy is here. He's breaking down the restart of our great country, the great American comeback.
You're listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Here's some news you may have missed.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The coronavirus outbreak's apparently keeping sellers out of the housing market. Realtor.com says new listings for homes plunged by nearly 45% in April. Attorneys general from 11 Midwestern states are calling for an investigation into allegations of price fixing by the meatpacking industry. They've written to Attorney General Bill Barr.
Dakota Farmers Union President Mark Lockney says we've rarely seen such obvious market abuses by the meatpacking industry. He says meatpackers are posting record profits and ranchers are suffering significant market price losses. Comment from the Justice Department.
Yeah, because CNN, they're fake news. This is the only station I like to listen to, Fox News, because they tell the truth. And they make fun of people. It's funny. And I also have a friend that works for Fox News.
You're listening to Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
Fox on Chat. Some long-rumored services from Apple were finally made official.
Now, it's going to be a very different time for them. We've got some really exciting things to share with you, and we're going to have some fun along the way.
So let's get going. Apple CEO Tim Cook first taking the wraps off the Apple News service, Apple News Plus. Apple also unveiled a new credit card, Apple Card. Goldman Sachs will be the bank and MasterCard will be the issuer. But the card will be digital first and work through Apple Pay. When in need for a physical card, they'll offer a titanium card with no number, no security code, no expiration date, and no signature. All that is in the app. Apple is also beefing up their video offerings with a new service expected in the fall that will offer a variety of content from cable providers with options for HBO, Showtime, and other subscription services. And with Apple TV Plus, custom content from Hollywood celebrities like J.J. Abrams, Steven Spielberg, and Oprah. With Fox on Tech, I'm Brett Larson, Fox News.
Right? They must be Democrats. I definitely do not like Democrats at this point. I'm a Republican. I can't stand Democrats. I think they're worse than liberals. Democrats are making themselves look like idiots right now. Like, especially Nancy Pelosi. She's a stupid bitch. Like, no offense if you guys like her,
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively.
She is a
on
dumb
TuneIn
motherfucker.
Premium.
I'm not gonna lie.
Back to live coverage.
We've done a number of
My 9-year-old has more brains than her.
Allegations against Joe Biden. We've told you about Biden's weird reaction to the charges. He stammered when asked. We told you at length about the infuriating, sickening hypocrisy of the media and the professional.
Oh yeah, Chuck's dumbass too. They're all dumbasses.
No, they don't. It depends on the politics. But one thing we have not yet addressed in any detail is Reed's story itself. What exactly does she say happened between herself and Joe Biden? Is there any evidence to back
You know
it
what's
up?
funny?
In retrospect,
Bernie Sanders thinks he could beat Donald Trump this year.
Take you through the details of this.
Want to know what else is funny?
We're going to be hearing a lot more about it. And
They're dumbasses.
And what the facts are. And here they are. Turner Reed worked as an aide in Joe Biden's Senate office in Washington from December 1992 through August of 93. In a recent interview with the journalist called
And Joe Biden, he's a little pedophile. Have you seen the videos of him touching other girls? little girls too.
The basement of a Senate office building, but it was in the Senate somewhere. Biden, she said, pinned her against a wall, kissed her, and then reached up under her skirt and penetrated her with his fingers.
Oh, speaking of her.
Reid recalls that she pulled away from Biden when he did this, and as she pulled away, he became angry. "You're nothing to me," she says Biden hissed at her. Reid says she complained to superiors about being harassed by Joe Biden, but didn't provide any of these horrifying details. A short time after she complained, she was fired. That's what she says. Now, did this happen? Did this assault in its particulars take place? Well, we can't really know for sure, of course. It was more than 25 years ago. But here's the evidence Reid points to support her case. Two unnamed friends of Reid's apparently have spoken to media outlets to say they heard Reid complain about harassment from Biden at the time. Reid's brother and
yeah, I think Joe Biden has Alzheimer's.
Then there's a recently unearthed CNN clip from 1993 in which an unnamed woman calls into Larry King Live and asks Larry
That's what
King
everybody's starting to think because he doesn't know where the fuck he is half of the time.
San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. The only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
So she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Now, that clip just emerged. It was found by someone on Twitter, and it's a real clip. Reid says the woman you heard is her mother. We can't confirm that because her mother has since passed away. But the facts, at least in broad outline, seem to match. The caller identifies herself as being from San Luis Obispo. Reid's mother lived there at the time, and that seems compelling. We covered it on the show. But there is evidence on the other side as well, and we feel honor-bound to tell you about it. Just last year, Tara Reid told a very different story about what happened with Joe Biden. In 2019, she said he touched her inappropriately on the neck and shoulders. She said, not that she was fired for complaining about harassment, much less being penetrated by Joe Biden. She then said she was fired because she refused to serve drinks at an event. And that was the version of the story that
oh my God, you got jokes.
When he was asked. His brother told reporters that Reid had mentioned Biden touching her neck and shoulders. He did not mention anything about assault. Several days later, Reid's brother texted the reporters to say he also now remembered Reid saying that Biden had reached under her clothes and assaulted her.
Fuck.
Then there's the question of Reid's politics. We normally wouldn't get into that because it's not germane. But keep in mind, this story is unfolding during a presidential campaign.
You know, he didn't know he was running for president until someone told him. No, he dropped out because someone told him that he was running for president.
Establishment forces, the people who support Joe Biden and who are backing him.
What part of New York?
And between the many Democrats who still support Bernie Sanders. Now, Tara Reid appears to be strongly in the Bernie Sanders camp. On March 3rd, Intercept reporter Ryan Grimm tweeted this, quote, a head-to-head Biden versus Sanders contest will force voters to take a close look at Biden again.
And at some point, he was telling Brooklyn, holy shit, you lucky soul.
Joe Biden, she responded this way, yeah, timing, wait for it, tick-tock. Well, that's cryptic. Was Tara Reid
at one point, Biden was supporting Obama, saying that Obama should become president when Obama was already president.
We have no evidence of it, but it's interesting, and of course it's possible. It's notable that before Joe Biden started beating Bernie Sanders in the primary, Tara Reid wasn't attacking Joe Biden. Instead, she had effusively positive things to say about him. In 2017, Tara Reid repeatedly praised Joe Biden for his work against sexual assault. At one point, Reid wrote this,
Brooklyn,
quote,
New York.
My old boss speaks the truth, end quote.
You will never see me go down to New York with the truck. Maybe to visit. I'll fly out there to see my friend
in
and
retrospect, knowing
meet you guys.
That we know now about what Reid
but I won't
happened,
ever drive a truck
like that
New York.
Baffling. They're hard to understand or to explain. Now, as we learned so bitterly during the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, political imperatives sometimes influence claims like this. That does not mean that Tara Reid is some kind of liar or is a devious partisan. We don't know that is true, and we are not saying
yeah,
that,
dude.
to be clear.
Come down to like the Utah or over here.
And this is our duty.
It's so much nicer to live over here, and it's so much cheaper.
Those of us who cover it going forward should be
like seriously. Like Utah might be a Mormon state, but it's still pretty nice to live in.
Against the facts. Take nothing for granted. The one thing you can be certain of this year
or Phoenix.
Is you're being lied
You could come to Arizona.
So that's what we know
it's hot
so
as
far
fuck
about
over
the
here,
Tara
but
Reid story. Those are the facts. Decide for yourself what you make of them. We'll be updating on regular one. We've heard a lot about meat shortages in America right now. How bad are they? Well, here's one data point. One of the biggest fast food chains in the country is out of hamburgers. Which one? How bad could this get? We'll tell you next.
Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn.
That's true.
We'll be right back with live coverage after this update from earlier today.
it's expensive to live in New York.
This is the Fox Business Report.
Papa John's made a profit in its recent quarter after losing money a year ago. Its sales increased. The pizza chain is staying open during the pandemic and has been hiring thousands of new employees, though it can't forecast business for the year because of uncertainty caused by the virus. Office Depot is reporting a stronger than expected quarter, and its business was stronger than a year ago. The office supplies chain says it's helping businesses to keep working in the home or office. Its locations are mostly open with enhanced sanitation and safety protocols. Drugstore chain CVS Health's quarter was also stronger than expected. Its business improved from a year ago as pharmacy customers stocked up with early refills because of stay-at-home orders. CVS is standing by its forecast for the business for this year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosolo, invested in you.
Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
Nike is going to try again with self-lacing sneakers created so many years ago. 1980s hit Back to the Future.
Self-lacing sneakers, huh?
In the 1980s version of the future, which was 2015, skateboards floated on air, not wheels, and shoes laced themselves. Originally, when Nike announced the self-lacing shoes, it was going to be $720 a pair. This time around, they'll only set you back $350. In an earnings call, Nike CEO Mike Parker said he was excited to announce that, quote, in the new year, we'll launch a new adaptive performance platform in basketball. It's not 100% how close to the original concept of self-lacing sneaker shoes will be, as Nike also said the goal was really to lower the price.
Charles, would you wear self-lacing sneakers for $300?
Making it less than 100 pairs of the shoes were eventually made. No shipping date has been set for next year. With Fox on Tech, I'm Brett Larson, Fox News.
Yeah, that's my customer. I have to deliver in Tempe. I have a window between 7 to 4. 7 in the morning, 1600 at night. Yeah, I wouldn't want to wear self-lacing sneakers either. What if they come unlaced when you're running? Trip on your ass or something. And have memory foam in them. I have shoes.
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium.
Best, shine brightest, I need it the most. We took an oath to be here for the public, so we're not going anywhere. Thanks to her citizens, America we know will come out of this stronger than ever before.
One major burger restaurant is running out of burgers. Which one? Well, here's a hint.
Wendy's.
The chain advertises its meat as fresh, never frozen.
Wendy's.
Some of the more substantial burgers than maybe the other places. Just saying. Chief breaking news correspondent Trace Gallagher is here with the answers to that question. Hey, Trace.
Wendy's have a shortage.
largest grocer with stores like Ralph's and Fry's, meat is also limited. And at some Wendy's in California, Kentucky, and South Carolina, they have temporarily taken burgers off the menu altogether. And if you find meat, it's going to cost you more because production is down an estimated 25% nationally. That's mostly because more than 7,000 meatpacking employees have contracted COVID-19, meaning dozens of plants.
No, I only know that because my friend went to Wendy's the other day in Utah, and they want to give him a double cheeseburger. They only give him a single patty burger.
Iowa Attorney General Tom
That's the only reason why I knew that.
AGs from 10 other states have
I
now
cheated.
sent a letter to U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr asking for an investigation into price fixing. The state's attorneys general say the 4 largest meat companies control more than 80% of U.S. beef, and despite COVID-19 problems, the price of beef is way too high, especially when the price of cattle is very low. Tucker.
Strange paradox. Trace Gallagher, thanks for that report. You're making me hungry. Nursing home residents face by far the greatest risk from dying of coronavirus. In New York, Andrew Cuomo's administration required
It's 45 miles an hour here. I don't know why.
Employees who had tested positive for the virus, which is demented. And that policy may have helped drive the state's massive death toll. In the state of New York, 25% of all coronavirus deaths have been in long-term care facilities. Just say the state updated its numbers to add 1,700 more deaths to that total. Charles Camasey is professor of theological and social ethics at Fordham University. He's also the author of the book Resisting Throwaway Culture. He's one of the probably fairly few intellectuals in this country who worries about people in long-term care. We're glad that he does. Professor, thanks so much for coming on. So this has gotten so little attention, and long-term care facilities have gotten so little protection, relatively speaking, from the government, that it seems to tell us something about our priorities.
Oh, since you live in New York, I've always wondered, why does the cops' lights have those sticks that raise up? Like, that's fucking weird as shit. Like, when they turn on their lights, there's sticks on the top of their cars that raise up. I think it's only highway patrol, but I've seen it once and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I think that looks ugly as fuck. Sorry, I'm interested in cop cars. I love cop cars.
We did this story, and it's bothered me and stuck with me ever since. I'm not making a partisan point. It's sincere. Why would the governor of New York...
You may not know that question, but I was always wondering why they have that on top of their light bar.
Employees with a deadly virus. But why would he do that?
You know, I don't know for sure, obviously, but we can speculate with educated speculation, I suppose. You and I have talked before about the possibility of there being rationing in New York and other places. It turned out there wasn't the need for it. But do we have to revisit that question again, Tucker? Many, many thousands of people over this country, and many, many hundreds in New York, if not thousands in New York, died in nursing homes and died in their homes, in fact, alone in their homes. These people many should have been in hospitals. What would have happened if they went to hospitals? Right. Well, you know, that's an important question I think hasn't been asked but needs to be asked.
So I think what you're suggesting is that the policy to stay in nursing homes, not get hospital treatment because authorities didn't want
I'm not going to lie, those cop cars look ugly as fuck.
Frequently, is that what you're saying?
I hate New York cop cars.
Consider, like you, I wonder, like, what possible reason?
But I love seeing all different kind of state cop cars and stuff. It's fascinating.
And the best thing I can come up with is they didn't want the hospitals to be overwhelmed. If they had taken these patients as COVID patients, if they took them and made sure that they weren't dying often alone without their families being able to see them, what would have happened? Maybe we would have had the poor stories that we all thought were going to happen.
Maybe it's something that we should examine. I'm worried that we won't. In the
We're in Tucson,
so
Arizona.
We'll never get to the bottom of that, but it seems like one of the key bad decisions made during this whole thing, and I hope we find out. Professor, thank you for your help on this.
Thank you, Tucker.
So Andy Lack, who ran NBC News, is gone. He left yesterday. He was ousted. But the story has an ending. New reports indicate that DOJ is investigating the culture of abuse that Andy Lack oversaw at the company. So that raises a lot of questions like, why is NBC President Noah Oppenheim still employed by NBC? Nicole Wallace, who's a progressive woman, did she speak up about this?
I tried washing my window, but I guess it doesn't work.
We'll try to get to the bottom of it.
Stupid ass bugs stick to my window.
During this break, some major news to share with you. Stand by for that.
So I'm sorry it's kind of blurry, but I
Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. We'll be right back with live coverage after this update from earlier today.
I'm Connell McShane. This is the Fox Business Report.
Impossible Foods.
So I have a friend that's from the Bronx, and he says that the cops don't give a fuck about you, and they will shoot you on the spot. I don't know if that's true or not, but he says those are the worst cops he had to deal with. You don't fuck with New York cops because they will fucking shoot you. That's what he said.
Other chains, including Albertsons, Safeway, and Fairway. Grocers were expecting supply issues in mid-May because some processing plants had closed. Those shoppers have been stocking up, which created a shortage sooner than expected. BMW now says the coronavirus will impact its business through this year. The German automaker says earnings will be significantly lower than last year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
God, I hate when it turns up and down, up and down.
Janice Dean.
5 teenage boys being hailed as hometown heroes makes today's Dean's List. The young men from Caldwell, Idaho, had been in the car on their way to play basketball when they saw an elderly man fall to the ground. Isaac Hernandez, who had been behind the wheel at the time, says that when he saw the man hit the sidewalk, he immediately pumped the brakes so he and his friends could go check on the senior. They helped him up and brought him back to his house. After that, they cleaned up his wounds with some napkins and rubbing alcohol. And though the teens didn't know it at the time, their good deed had been captured by Erica Tovar. She snapped some photos of the exchange and posted them on Facebook, praising them for their kindness. Local businesses have showered the boys with gifts, food, and presents as a thank you for their kindness. In the weeks following their encounter, the boys have been paying regular visits to the senior at his apartment, and they plan on visiting more in the future. Thank you all for being so kind and considerate. You all made the Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Wow. Oh, China? Fuck China. I fucking hate China. We should stop doing business with them. No wonder why we have a shortage.
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Now, back to live coverage.
All right, finally, states are beginning to reopen. Senator John Kennedy is here. He's breaking down the restart of our great country, the great American comeback tonight on Edit.
Well, if we stop doing business with China and start making our own shit, it'll probably be cheaper.
Hospitalized once again at this hour. The 87-year-old justice suffered an infection apparently caused by a gallstone and has had to undergo non-surgical treatment. The justice is expected to participate in Supreme Court oral arguments tomorrow, long distance from the hospital. Of course, we'll continue to monitor the story for developments. Well, in media news, it took far too long, but it looks like NBC head Andy Lack is finally leaving NBC News almost 3 years after he was exposed covering up for a serial predator, Harvey Weinstein. But even more justice could be on the way. This story keeps growing. Last night, we discussed a possible government investigation into harassment at NBC with the former producer of the network who worked on the Weinstein story. I have heard that the New York Attorney General's office is investigating NBC on sexual abuse, sexual harassment claims.
That is true. I'm aware of it. I've been looking into it for a story
story. It was the New York Attorney General's Office Civil Division. So, you know, we're not sure if it could lead to anything criminal, but I do know that they've been looking into this and interviewing employees over a number of months.
That was Rich McHugh. He's a longtime NBC producer. He worked on the Harvey Weinstein story. Now, there is new evidence tonight that the investigation he referred to is in fact in progress. According to Variety, the New York Attorney General's office has been investigating NBC News since at least last fall. Elizabeth Blackbush wrote that report for Variety, and we're happy to have her on tonight. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us. So what is the status of this investigation? What are they looking at?
So right now, we are actually unclear if the investigation is still pending. I have sources who have told me that, of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, that it could possibly be on pause, but there's no reason to believe that it is not currently ongoing. The New York District Attorney's Office, Attorney General's Office, did not get back to me on that matter. But what I can tell you, Pepper, is that I have heard from numerous sources and a few women on the record who were questioned by the Attorney General's office. They started to speak with them in the fall, as you said. The latest that they spoke to them was in January. Now, the basis of this probe into NBC News was for gender discrimination and retaliation based on sexual harassment. These women had spoken up, whether it was to the media, whether it was internal reporting to human resources, time to get over, there was on-air talent who covered these stories about Matt Lauer, about Harvey Weinstein on air, and they were retaliating. Now, in my report that published today, some of the women who were questioned by the Attorney General's office were Megyn Kelly, and of course we all know what happened with her at NBC, and also Linda Vester, who she is a former NBC war correspondent. She also is a former Fox News journalist, and about 2 years ago, she came forward with her allegations against Tom Brokaw, which she broke exclusively with us at Variety.
So it does raise the question. We spoke to some people today, too, NBC News employees who've been interviewed, but there are a lot of them. I want to put up, so Andy Lack left yesterday. Noah Oppenheim was the other executive. There he is right there on the right, who helped squash the Weinstein story. In between them is Nicole Wallace, who's currently an anchor. It does, a friend of both of theirs, it does raise the question, have current NBC employees complained about the behavior of their executives, or are they backing the executives? Where are they? Do you know?
Absolutely. I've spoken to many people within NBC, past and present. The general consensus has been hallelujah. Andy Lack is finally out. It took too long. But yet, people are still saying that there's more that has to be done. I mean, you mentioned Noah Oppenheim. Of course, he was heavily mentioned in Ronan Farrow's book. Of course, Rich McHugh was Ronan Farrow's producer. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Andy Lack's successor was going to be Noah Oppenheim, and now he's being replaced by someone else. That's probably not good news for that.
No, it's not. And it's really hard to see how Nicole Wallace stays at that network. Obviously, I'm not in charge of HR, but given everything we know, it's hard to imagine she'll keep her job. But we'll see. Elizabeth, thank you. I know that you'll be the first to break it if she leaves. Well, next, China has erected the world's largest censorship regime to hide the truth.
If he slammed on his brakes, I won't have enough time to stop, so I'll slam right into him.
Access to the Chinese market. Studios in California have censored and rewritten American films to please China. The upcoming Top Gun sequel, for example, was censored. Tom Cruise's iconic flight jacket was changed and no longer has a Taiwanese flag. This is an outrage, obviously. Senator Ted Cruz is infuriated by it. Says it's time for the government to punish studios that grovel before their Chinese masters. He joins us tonight. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. Now, how big is this problem?
Well, the problem of China generally is enormous, and I think this should be a wake-up call to the entire world, this pandemic that is playing out. The problem of censorship is a massive problem within China. China's own censorship and cover-up of this pandemic helped produce 257,000 deaths worldwide. And when it comes to Hollywood, Hollywood is not an innocent bystander here. Hollywood is fully complicit. Hollywood works with the Chinese censors. Hollywood has been willing over and over and over again. There's so much money at stake. You pointed out Top Gun. I mean, think about that for a second. The original Top Gun may have been the greatest Navy recruiting film ever made. They didn't just change the Taiwanese flag. They also removed the Japanese flag. Both of them were in the back of Maverick's jacket, and the studios didn't want to tick off the Chinese censors, so they pulled it down. What are we saying to the world, that Maverick is afraid of the Chinese communists? I'll give you another example, Bohemian Rhapsody.
fabulous movie, terrific biopic of Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen, the Chinese censors demanded that they edit out scenes showing that Freddie Mercury was gay, that he was homosexual. Now pause to think about how many Hollywood producers like to virtue signal about their courage and free speech and artistic integrity, and yet they happily try to edit out the fact that Freddie Mercury is gay. I mean that is, it's extraordinary. And so I've introduced. It's funny. I never saw.
I actually told them that I wanted to spend a day in Arizona because I have family out here that I want to see. So my next load won't be until Thursday. So I asked them if I could just spend a day with my family and relax for a minute. So I won't be getting a load until tomorrow.
So in just 20 seconds, tell me what the Congress, what the Senate can do about this.
I haven't seen my aunt for a long time, so I'm going to spend the time with her since I'm already here. She lives like 14 miles away from my job.
If you're going to cooperate with Chinese censors, we're not going to facilitate Chinese communist censorship.
Amen. Good for you. You yanked their tax credits, too. Senator, great to see you tonight. Thank you for doing that. Dr. Mark Siegel, up next with some pretty amazing news on congressional coronavirus. Be right back.
Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. We'll be right back with live coverage after this update from earlier today.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Tyson is reopening its Waterloo, Iowa facility tomorrow.
No, it won't be. It won't be quite 34 hours. I don't even need a 34-hour break. I just had one.
Tyson Fresh Meats, its beef and pork subsidiary. The plant now has enhanced safety precautions and protective.
It's just going to be like a 24-hour thing.
Face coverings, an on-site clinic that will provide daily screenings, diagnostic testing, access to nurse practitioners, and other support. Tyson also performed an additional deep cleaning and sanitized the entire facility. Capital One is telling its staffers working remotely to stay home until September. Chief Executive Richard Fairbanks says all non-essential offices are remaining closed through the summer until at least Labor Day. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Kosova, invested in you.
Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
5 teenage boys being hailed as hometown heroes makes today's Dean's List. The young men from Caldwell, Idaho had been in the car on their way to play basketball when they saw an elderly man fall to the ground. Isaac Hernandez, who had been behind the wheel at the time, says that when he saw the man hit the sidewalk, he immediately pumped the brakes so he and his friends could go check on the senior. They helped him up and brought him back to his house. After that, they cleaned up his wounds with some napkins and rubbing alcohol. And though the teens didn't know it at the time, their good deed had been captured by Erica Tovar. She snapped some photos of the exchange and posted them on Facebook, praising them for their kindness.
100 miles out.
Have showered the boys with gifts, food, and presents as a thank you for their kindness. In the weeks following their encounter, the boys have been paying regular visits to the senior at his apartment, and they plan on visiting more in the future. Thank you all for being so kind and considerate. You all made the Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Yeah, hopefully, if everything goes good. I have plenty of time on this. I have a window from 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock at night. fuck out of me every time it goes off.
You're listening to Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Now, back to live coverage.
For the past 2 months, you've been threatened with arrest if you go outside, but for the wrong reasons. Why do we say this? Because of models. Computer programs predicted a catastrophe if we didn't shut down society. By now, those models have been wrong, many of them very wrong, yet we're still making policy based on those models. Should we be doing that? Why are we doing that? Fox News contributor Dr. Mark Siegel joins us with more on that. Besides, the coronavirus could be mutating in a good way. Doctor, thanks for coming on tonight.
Tucker, you talked about Neil Ferguson earlier in the show, and Neil Ferguson's been advising the government in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, years ago, he said that
Why would you drive an ugly yellow car?
200 million, and it ended up being about 100. Now, under the coronavirus situation with our pandemic, he has said that 2.2 million people were going to die in the United States alone as of March. But it isn't only the other side of the pond where we have this issue. Over here, Johns Hopkins University, just this past week, has said that there's going to be 200,000 cases a day by June, with 3,000 people dying. And the more moderate Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation is now upping their numbers for 1 week. They say now by August, instead of 65,000 people dying, it's going to be 135,000 in 1 week. They doubled their numbers. What does all of this mean? That it's pure speculation, that mathematical modeling is based on numbers we don't have. How many people actually have coronavirus, COVID-19? How contagious is it? How many asymptomatic cases are there out there? We don't know. Pure speculation, like Merlin with his crystal ball. Now, speaking of speculation, here's more speculation. A group in Los Alamos has looked at COVID-19, at SARS-CoV-2, the name of the virus, and said it's becoming a lot more contagious. A group in Arizona State is saying it's becoming weaker. Contagious, weaker. Those are speculations based on just a tiny molecule. But our own Dr. Khalil
Imagine that Toyota cuts me off.
Today, and you showed him on the show last week, a terrific scientist out of Nebraska Medicine that's seen more patients with COVID-19 than probably anyone, has said that this virus, as far as he can tell, is currently stable. Tucker?
So not getting stronger and not getting weaker. Very, very quick, just in a few seconds, but do you think that our models, our projection models, are being updated often enough in this country?
I think they're being updated often enough, but with inaccurate information. I don't think we should be making decisions based on these models. We need to make our decisions, Tucker, based on real data, on real cases, on more testing, on knowing what's happening. We're scaring ourselves even more than we're already scared unnecessarily.
Totally smart point, as always. Dr. Siegel, thank you for that update tonight. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
That's about it for this hour. Boy, it went quick. Things usually do. Have the best night, hopefully with the ones that you love. Sean Hannity stands by in New York City. To the great Sean Hannity.
The very latest on the coronavirus, along with in-depth analysis and conversation, depend on Fox News Radio and FoxNewsPodcasts.com.
The president has a new focus in this corona crisis. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Mike Pence and the task force have done a great job, but we're now looking at a little bit of a different form, and that form is safety and opening.
But he is going to keep Drs. Birx and Fauci around for their advice, even as he tells ABC News more than many virus models and projections are wrong, and social distancing is working.
And we've learned to mitigate, but we can be in place, work in place, and also mitigate.
The president admits there could be virus flare-ups as more people return to work. Most states have lifted some corona restrictions, and there have been some increased cases. Fox's Evan Brown has more live. Now, Dave, Georgia officials are worried about the Northeast section of the state, namely Gainesville. This month of April showed a spike in the number of cases, and 4 people reportedly died from COVID-19 just yesterday in the very rural and sparsely populated area. And the figures published daily by Johns Hopkins University, which have become the go-to source for many health agencies, show a rise in the number of cases in areas outside New York City. Iowa just yesterday recorded 19 deaths, a new daily high for that state. Dave?
Even Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee will have more restrictions today. Texas will let hair salons reopen Friday, but one salon owner in Dallas who opened too early is now in jail. The judge gave Shelley Luther the chance to apologize, calling her selfish, but Luther replied she's not. She had to feed her family.
So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
He gave her a week in jail and a $7,000 fine. Is meat the next toilet paper?
Wendy's, the chain that gave us the phrase, "Where's the beef?" now has customers asking that very question due to a beef shortage. Kroger's and Costco are among the stores limiting meat purchases because of a fear they will run out.
It's Fox's Mike Tobin. America's listening to Fox News.
You're listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Here's some news you may have missed.
You're listening to Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
Your insider's cheat code to gaming. I'm Aaron Dick. Nintendo winning this generation's console war. MPD Group, which tracks video game sales in the United States, saying that the Nintendo Switch has sold more than 8.7 billion units, making it the fastest-selling system of this generation, outpacing the Xbox One and PS4 in the same time frame, 22 months. The other consoles have more owners, but they had the benefit of being released early. Nintendo saying their software sales in the United States bringing that number up. Recent releases of Pokemon titles and the competitive fighting game Smash Bros. Ultimate helping. That game hitting some of Nintendo's biggest stars in a brawl with cameos from other huge game companies' iconic characters, including Pac-Man, Street Fighter's Ryu and Ken, and Final Fantasy VII's Cloud Strike. That's Fox Fits for Fox News.
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Now, back to live coverage.
Joe Biden is already President Trump's presumed challenger in November, but there are still several more Democratic primaries, including one that had been canceled.
A U.S. district judge has ruled New York State had to have a presidential primary because canceling it would be unconstitutional. Lawyers for former candidates Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders argued it was wrong to cancel the primary. The judge agreed, writing, "Plaintiffs would be deprived of the opportunity to shape the course of events at the convention." The Democratic members of the state's Board of Elections voted to cancel the primary after former Vice President Joe Biden had been endorsed by the major rival candidates he once faced. Now the state's party chair says they're reviewing the judge's decision. Joel Nato, Fox News.
The U.S. says it had no role in the failed raid in Venezuela attempting to capture the dictator the U.S. does not recognize as the Venezuelan leader. 2 former American Special Forces soldiers among those captured.
Disputed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro accused them of playing Rambo, capturing 2 former Green Berets, arresting 11 more, and killing 8 others. On the Americans, U.S. passports, VA medical cards, and expired military IDs. An American security contractor apparently sent them. Silvercorp USA tweeting to the commander-in-chief, quote, "Strike force incursion into Venezuela. 60 Venezuelan, 2 American ex-Green Beret." The group explained their operation to free Venezuela from Maduro. Officials say they suspect the 2 carried their American documents in order to request U.S. citizen services if security forces arrested them.
That's Fox's Rich Edson. There's more worry about the global economy in this corona crisis that has infected 3.6 million people worldwide. All the shutdowns has the European Union warning today of a recession of historic proportions. But on Wall Street, Dow futures are up more than 100 points after the opening bell next this hour. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. We'll be right back with live coverage after this update from earlier today.
You're listening to Fox News Talk on TuneIn.
Fox on 10. Some long-rumored services from Apple were finally made official.
As you can tell, today's going to be a very different kind of event. We've got some really exciting things to share with you, and we're going to have some fun along the way. So let's take it on.
code, no expiration date, and no signature. All that is in the app. Apple is also beefing up their video offerings with a new service expected in the fall that will offer a variety of content from cable providers with options for HBO, Showtime, and other subscription services, and with Apple TV Plus, custom content from Hollywood celebrities like J.J. Abrams, Steven Spielberg, and Oprah. With Fox on Tech, I'm Brett Larson, Fox News.
Thanks for listening to Fox News Talk commercial-free stream exclusively on TuneIn Premium. Now, back to live coverage.
Every day's an impactful day, and I'm glad you're here today. We know the numbers, they're horrific. The unemployment at 34%. Now 71,000 plus have lost their lives to the coronavirus. The numbers are there. Today at 4 o'clock, Kayleigh McEnany will be holding her second briefing. Kind of things going back to normal there. And the president will meet with the Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. Got that meat processing problem, and there is definitely a food shortage when it comes to meat. There's some limitations across the country, so these are important issues. But for the most part, there's a big theme out there that the president's trying to move past the coronavirus. He's not. It's impossible. Nobody's saying he's trying to move past it. What he's trying to do is punctuate it and talk about how things are and can be getting on track. But if we don't do things right, we'll get off track. We'll discuss that this hour with Arthur Herman. He's a military strategist, best-selling author, and he says, I can go back to World War II and strategize the best way domestically to get us through this. He's going to share some of his principles. Then Kevin Brady, one of the smartest numbers guys in Congress. He is a ranking member on Ways and Means from Texas. Texas needs to reopen at a breakneck pace. And then my privilege, we always go with Stu and Marty on FDN. There's a lot of jealousy in this world, and obviously, you have a lot of people like Sandra Smith who want to be able to talk to me on television, and Ed Henry, who I've met before in person in different times. I'm going to go on with that. I'm going to talk about this story in Texas about a salon owner doing a week in jail for opening up her doors. Do you believe that? What they say is prematurely, and she wouldn't apologize for it. I don't blame her. Victory.
Now with the stories you need to know, it's Brian.
Did you get your wedges put on there yesterday too?
The president gave an interview. Blue state coronavirus bailouts are unfair to Republicans. First of all, this is not a blue state issue. It's not just Democratic states that have an economic shortfall. Republican states have an economic shortfall.
That is Governor Cuomo. He and the president trying to be civil. The mayor couldn't say the same thing, but rescue me. That is a cry from the states, and Democrats demand from the GOP. The president, Mitch McConnell, weigh in, and they say, we might do that, but there's going to be some strings attached, and I want things like a payroll tax holiday. Start talking.
Number 2. The Communist Party leaders feel themselves cornered, and they feel that all these calls for investigations, they know that something really wrong is going to be exposed. They know they have no defense, and so therefore they're acting belligerently.
And they are. Gordon Chang knows a lot about that area. He wrote The Coming Collapse in China. He didn't predict this, perhaps. China pushes back on the world criticism of the handling of the virus been created within their borders as America's class action lawsuits mount against that country. I want you to hear their defense, and then I want your defense of us.
Number 1. Thanks to the profound commitment of our citizens, we've flattened the curve. Our country is now in the next stage of the battle, a very safe phase, the gradual reopening.
Nice. The fight and the comeback. President moves forward with trepidation. We're beating back COVID-19 as more states open up with their
consider saying it's over, especially when
Still hear me? Can you guys still hear me? Hear me? Put you on my Bluetooth so I can talk in the microphone. I don't know why my phone's not charging. It's only at 88%. It's been on the charger this whole time. Mile marker 240 on I-10, headed westbound. Well, northwest, but fuck it, we don't say northwest, we say westbound. About 87 miles out. I should be there around 8 o'clock tonight or in the morning. We're still on time for delivery. That's good, though. Got online yet? Damn. Hopefully it's not down too long. He's losing money. My tires looked at Love's, the tire center, and they say my trailer is off track and it needs an alignment. And it's making it so it's uneven worn. One side it's wearing out on the outer sides, and the left side is wearing off on the inside. That tells me that my trailer is off track and to the right. But I really can't tell. Normally you can tell that by looking in your mirrors, but it looks like I'm going down the road pretty straight. a place to park my truck in Chandler so I can see my aunt. She's excited to see me. Guess she's gonna cook a big ass dinner. And at 6 o'clock here, I should be in Tempe. I should be delivering my load at 8 o'clock in the morning. Definitely today. There's no reason why I shouldn't make it today. I like those deliveries that have a window so I don't have to stress on when to get there, as long as I'm there in between the window. I wonder what kind of tank that is. Is that a milk tank? That's not my expertise, so I have no idea what kind of tanker that is. I think Scott would know more. Maybe I should ask him one day if he ever comes and watches my live stream. Bless me. Bless me. Allergic to fucking Arizona. Ugh. Today is Wednesday. We get our settlement stub today. This load needs to be turned in today by midnight. Let's see if I actually got it this time. See how much I'm making. Nothing yet. I actually like Arizona. Arizona's not bad to drive in. It's calm. I'd rather be in Arizona than Texas, that's for damn sure. Looks like I'm by the international airport here in Arizona. Looking to my left, see a bunch of planes. Maybe that's the plane graveyard. No, I actually think it's alive. Looking to my right, there's nothing. I've been trying to see if there's any border crossers around. I see a bunch of immigration police. What are they called? Border Patrol. I've seen them a bunch in the pilot I parked at, going around asking questions. Night transporter driving down the street. I haven't really seen any Swift drivers lately. Did they all crash? Everybody still under quarantine? Anybody out working that is non-essential? I'm definitely working. But does nobody in every state don't know how to work? Well, I mean, not work, but use their blinkers? Jesus Christ. Blinkers are not an option. You have to use your blinkers. Didn't use my blinker, everybody would be freaking out. Or if I was texting and driving like everybody else. Look, Border Patrol. Boom. Another Border Patrol. There's a video on YouTube where a Swift driver went through an immigration checkpoint and he wouldn't give him any information. Border Patrol only asked him if he was an American citizen. And the Swift driver was like, I don't have to answer that question. And he was completely white. Of course, he looks like an American. So the immigration guy was like, all I needed is an answer, yes or no. That's all I need. And the Swift driver was like, I'm not giving you any information. I got to give it up to the officer that was asking the questions, because he asked him multiple times before he threatened to take him out of the truck. And the Swift driver kept refusing to refusing. And the Border Patrol's like, I'll give you one more chance to answer yes or no. If you don't answer, I'm going to drag you out of this truck. And the Swift driver's like, you can't drag me out of this truck. You need a warrant for that. And the guy looked down and said, this is a Swift truck, correct? He's like, yes. And he's like, well, all we got to do is call Swift to drag you out of the truck. So, of course, Swift gave him the approval to open the truck. And the Border Patrol agent said, I'm going to give you one more chance. One more chance. And by this time, there's 3 or 4 officers waiting to take this guy out. the Swift driver still refused. So the sergeant is like, before we take him out, I want to see if I could get an answer from him. All they needed was a yes or a no if he was an American citizen. So the sergeant asked him if he is an American citizen. The Swift driver was like, no, I'm not. Or not, they didn't even say no, I'm not. He said, I'm not answering any questions. So of course, the sergeant wasn't having it, so he took his baton and shattered his window, because the Swift driver definitely rolled up his window so he couldn't get drug out. So he got pulled out, tackled to the ground, and arrested for not cooperating with Border Patrol. And all he needed to say yes, and he would have been on a merry way. Instead, he made himself look a lot worse, and went to jail for not answering an officer, not cooperating. I'll tell you what though, if you're gonna fuck with police, don't fuck with federal police at all, because they're under a totally different set of rules. President Trump gave them the authority to do whatever they need to do to protect this country. And if you're not going to answer Border Patrol a yes or no question, of course you're going to get thrown out of your truck or out of your car and go to jail. Like, there's no... He had to go through a bunch of shit after he got thrown out of the car or out of the semi. The moral of the story is, when an officer asks a yes or no question, you answer him. To save you some time and heartache. So when I went through the immigration checkpoint, I got asked, are you an American citizen? And I said, no, I'm a Mexican immigrant. And the Border Patrol officer looked at me and started laughing. He's like, so he asked me again, are you an American citizen? And I said yes. I was just yanking your chain. And I made that immigration officer's day. I'm like, should I act like that Swift driver and get pulled out of my truck? And he just cracked up laughing because he knew exactly what I was talking about. So I told him, yes, I'm an American citizen, and he just waved me back. He said, have a good day, sir. I didn't even have to prove that I was an American citizen. Maybe because I'm white enough to prove, so I don't need proof. I hit the immigration checkpoint somewhere in New Mexico. I didn't know I-10 ran across the border or dead on with the border until I looked at the map. And sure as fuck, it does. So I stopped that one truck stop that Scott told me to stop at on exit 87 on, I think, I-10 in New Mexico. And he told me to go try that Mexican place. So I went and tried that Mexican place. And I ordered 2 burritos. I read that it had beef chuck in it. I didn't know what beef chuck was. So I was eating it, and then all of a sudden I see it looks like to be what is it? One of those heart valves tube or whatever it is. And I asked, what is beef chuck? And they said it's scraps from the cow. At this point, I ate both burritos with sauce, and I'm like, well, at least you guys give me some sauce to wash down that beef chuck. Because if I would have known what beef chuck was before I ate it, I probably wouldn't have ate it. I probably would have thrown up. But it was pretty good. I had it was beef chuck with cilantro and green salsa. I asked them for red salsa. They said they don't think think I can handle red salsa. And I'm like, I might be white, but I can handle a lot of spice. So they said they ran out of the red salsa, so they had to give me the mild salsa. But I didn't complain. It was still pretty good. What the hell is this skateboard hauling? Jesus. Looks freaking awesome. I honestly need to get a truck wash. And I wish my company would pay for it. Or make me pay for it through my next check. Because I actually need a truck wash. It's driving me crazy seeing my truck all dirty like this. You know it? Hopefully you guys can hear me. If you can hear me, say aye. Or say yes, I can hear you. So I know I'm not just talking to myself. You guys can't hear me. Maybe you can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? Test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No? Can't hear me? I got 60 miles left and I'm done. Anybody hear me? Anybody heard my story about the immigration checkpoint? Want to know what's crazy? Nancy wants Democrats to win, right? But all she's doing is making things worse for the Democrats, so therefore Trump will win. Like, I'm all for Trump winning. He's doing pretty good for himself and for the country. He does some good things, he does some bad things, but, you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. If we're perfect, then we want to be human. I'll tell you what. But I'd rather have Trump stay president than have a Democrat in the office and ruin this country and everything he built. Bernie Sanders might be saying that free college, but free healthcare, and free all this bullshit. But you guys know damn well when if he ever becomes president, he will never fulfill what he promises. Because you know why? He cares about himself. He wants that power so he can change the country for the worst. You know what I'm saying? My phone's not charging. It's at 88% still. Like, what the hell? Whoa, that truck had a big ass camera system on the side. Hi. How's it going? Hey man, can you hear me? Corey, can you hear me? Okay, because I was just telling a story and no one was responding. How long have you been on my stream? Did you just barely get on? Okay. So, the story I was telling was, I went through an immigration checkpoint, and a while ago, before I even went through there, I watched a video of a Swift driver go through an immigration checkpoint, and the immigration officer was like answering yes or no question, or asking yes or no questions. He asked the Swift driver if he was an American citizen. All the Swift driver needed to say was yes or no, and he would have been on his merry way. But this dumbass, okay, he told the officer that he doesn't have to answer any questions because, you know, well, he's kind of right, but he's kind of wrong. So the immigration check officer, and I'll get to that in a minute, why he was right or why he was wrong. So the immigration checkpoint officer, Border Patrol officer, said, I'm going to ask you again, are you an American citizen? And this officer was being so nice, and he was trying to joke with the driver because he's like, when he climbed up on his truck, he's like, man, I'm getting sick, I'm getting too old to climb up on these trucks. And so the Swift operator was keep denying him and saying that he doesn't have to answer any of his questions. I think that the officer asked him over and over and over, give him plenty of warning to answer his yes or no question. All he needed to say was yes, and then he'd be on his merry way. So the officer then, after asking him like 50 fucking times and being nice about it, just listen, it gets better. Asked him 50 times, being nice about it. He's told the Swift operator, he's like, if you're not going to answer any of my questions, I'm going to pull you out of this truck. The fucking Swift driver told the officer that he cannot pull him out of the truck because this is without a warrant. The Swift, or the Border Patrol officer was told him that this is not his truck, this is Swift truck, and all he needs to do is call Swift, and Swift will give him the okay, because you know how Swift is. They don't want to have any problems with any officers or any law, because you know we're a trucking company and we go through a lot of regulations. So the Swift company told the officer he could go ahead and open the truck. So that being said, the the officer said that he had clearance to pull him out of the truck. So all he needs to do is answer yes or no fucking question. So by this time, the cop had 4 or 5 other officers to help him to pull this guy out of the truck if he needed to. So he gave him 3 more chances to answer yes or no question. The Swift driver, of course, was like, I don't have to answer any questions. So before they pulled him out of the truck and slam him on the fucking ground, the officer asked for a supervisor. His supervisor's like, fuck it, I'll try to get him to answer a yes or no question. So the supervisor's like, are you an American citizen? The Swift driver then said, I don't have to answer any questions. Okay, so at this time, they shattered his window, freaking forced the door open, and the Swift operator was holding the door so they couldn't get in, and started screaming. And he got slammed to the ground and arrested. So Trump give the officer, Border Patrol officers, more leeway than regular city officers because they're federal government, right? And that's one person you don't want to fuck with is Border Patrol. Even though they're being the nicest people ever, you do not want to fuck with them because they will fuck with you. So all the Swift driver needed to do was an answer yes or no. And clearly he's white, so he's definitely an American citizen. And so he has to go through a bunch of bullshit just to be cleared to go past the immigration checkpoint. And he got so much felony charges for not answering the damn question. So yes, the Swift driver could say that to a city cop, say he doesn't have to answer any questions, because that's true. You have the right to not answer any questions. But when it becomes a federal police officer asking if you're an American citizen, you have to say yes or no. You have to answer him. Because they're protecting our borders, they're protecting us, so we don't have to deal with immigrants trying to take our jobs. Yeah. So I went through an immigration checkpoint in New Mexico I think it was yesterday. And the officer asked me, am I an American citizen? And I'm like, no, I'm Mexican. And he cracked up laughing. And I'm like, okay, yes, I'm an American citizen. Well, obviously, I'm not a Mexican because I'm whiter than hell and I talk like a damn redneck. And I'm like, do I have to answer any more questions? And he started laughing again because he knew where I was coming from that. I'm like, at least I'm not a Swift driver and get pulled out of my truck. And I made that officer's day. And he remembered that story, that video, because it's all over YouTube. I like to mess with officers just to make them happy. But when I feel like they're not having a good day, I'll just answer their questions and go on my merry way. I won't even mess with them. But when they can laugh with me, that means you're having a good day and he's having a good day, and you could make jokes. If you can make an officer laugh, you're a 99% chance to get in out of trouble. Except for one time. So here's another story. Before I even started with this company, when I was going through the background checks and stuff, my dumbass blew through a red light. Okay? This is how I blew through a red light. I was going 20 miles an hour and it turned red on me. I had plenty of time to stop. I looked over and said, hey, look, there's a cop. I'm getting pulled over today. And just went through the red light. Sure and fuck, I got pulled over. I've been pulled over before he turned his lights on. And I made him laugh and everything, and he told me, he's like, I would give you a warning, but in the state of Utah, you can't get a warning for blowing through a red light because of all the accidents and stuff. So instead of charging me for having a CDL because it's double the fine and I had to take a class, he marked that I didn't have a CDL and all I had to pay was $100 for that ticket. That's it. But I made that cop laugh, and if I would have been a dick to him, he probably would have freaking pressed on and searched my car and give me the highest ticket he could. But my dumbass ran a red light, and I knew I ran a red light. I seen that officer, and I wanted to get pulled over. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why I wanted to get pulled over. Maybe because I was dumb, but it happens. So I do have a failure to obey traffic signals on my record, but that's the only thing that's on my record. I had my license since I was 16 years old, and that's the only thing I got a ticket for. It's funny. My girlfriend was on in the passenger seat, and it was her car, and she's like, "You're a dumbass." But I wanted to see if I could get away with running a red light in front of the cop. So when the cop gave me a ticket and walked away at the end of the traffic stop, I yelled out of my window. I was like, "It was still yellow," and we both know it was clearly red. And he laughed his ass off all the way back to his truck or his cruiser. It was a good night, but I still ended up getting a ticket. So I'm about 48 miles away from my drop. I won't get another reload until tomorrow. I'm going to actually go to Chandler, Arizona to visit my aunt. I haven't seen her since she moved down here. And she's so excited. She's going to cook me a big ass steak, fresh beef jerky, and other shit. She's so happy to see me. I told the company way before I wanted to go, and they said it was alright for me to go. Hell yeah, I bust my ass out here. I could take at least a day off, you know, to visit family. And it's okay, I won't lose any money. Well, kinda, but not really. I'm not a kind of driver that likes to drag my feet, but when I have a chance to go meet up with family that I haven't seen, I'm going to take it. As long as the company says it's okay and they don't need me for today. Because I asked before I even go. Some people just go and be like, "I'm not ready for a load." Me, I'll just be like, "Hey, can I go see family? If you need me, then I won't. But can I go see family?" Half of the time they would say yes. But there was only one time that they said no because they needed me to take a load out that was a mandatory load. And I understood, like, they needed to get that load out of there. And the only time they said that was when I was in California. Because no one likes to go to California. We have some truck drivers that will say, tell them, "No, I won't ever go to California." And it's very rare that I would deny California load. I try not to deny California load. Because once you go to California, then you could go get sent out to anywhere you want to. Because there's a lot more loads coming out of California. Hence why Scott gets to go home almost every day. Well, not almost every day, almost every week. Speaking of, where's that jackass? Has anybody talked to him today, or is he streaming, or did I just run over a diaper? I think I ran over a diaper. Sorry about the windshield. I scrubbed the shit out of it, but these bug stains have not gone away. I have to wash my truck, but I don't have the money to wash my truck at this moment. It's bugging the fuck out of me that I can't wash my truck. His truck's still in the shop. Well, he could still live stream and update us. I will live stream when I'm at home. I don't know if you see me at home live streaming. Or he could go on my stream and update us. I'm kind of worried about him. I just wanted to see if he's okay and what his plan is going to be. If he's going to get a rental, or is he going to sit and wait, or if he even gets his parts ordered today. Hopefully they tell him that he needs a new truck, because I want to see him in a new truck. I would laugh at him because all the new trucks are automatic, and he likes to throw in my face that he drives a Standard. And if it was my choice, I would drive a Standard, that's for sure. But I will make fun of him when he has to actually trade out his truck because his truck has so much miles on it and it's gonna break down. But at the same time, I feel bad for that dude. He's losing money. He's been losing money for at least 2 weeks because his truck been in the shop every other day. Damn, I shouldn't be losing service. I'm in downtown. $40 out. I'll live stream the whole time until I get to my aunt's house. I won't shut off the live stream this time. I'll just keep it running. I'll pick up live streaming again after I get to my house or my aunt's house tomorrow. I don't know why my phone keeps saying 80% or 88%. It's like it's not charging at all. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should get another cord. Yeah, I shut down early about 5 o'clock last night. Hey YB, good morning. I'm about 40 miles out to my shipper or my customer. I'll just keep the live stream rolling until I get to a place where I want to shut down for the day and pick up a load tomorrow. That's if they even give me a load tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure they will. They don't like to keep me sitting, especially when I'm on time all the fucking time. But I just barely bought this cord. That's the thing. Maybe I killed it. Yolanda? Is that your name? Hopefully I can remember that. Town because when me and Scott was training, when he was training me, we were on the Walmart fleet and we came here a lot. Okay, well I just changed cords. Let's see if this one will work. Yeah, that's one fleet I miss is the Walmart fleet. It was so easy, but they don't pay over a trainer. Like, well, I don't know. I get paid more than here than when I was doing Walmart fleet for Swift. And I've only did that for 2 weeks, and I got sick of not making any money, so I left them to come here. But when I was doing Walmart fleet with Scott, I wasn't getting paid either. I have a bad rep with Walmart fleet. There we go, now it's charging. I switched out the cord. Yeah, when I was working with Scott, I wasn't making anything either. Because I just barely started and everything, and for CR England, and even when I was over the road, I didn't make any good money either. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna turn on my headset and see if you guys can hear me through that, because I like having a mic in front of my face. It makes me feel fancy. Give me a sec. Can you guys hear me still? Corey, can you hear me? Did it go quiet? Glad you guys can hear me. I want to keep this. I like having a mic so you can hear me a little bit better. Our settlements should be coming in today. I need to pay rent with. There it is. Here we go. Hold on. I just can't touch that when it comes in. $700, but I didn't run as much miles. I have until the 15th to pay rent. What a... I didn't run very much miles. I only ran like 2,000 miles. My rent is like $1,100. I had to push my rent till the 15th because I was shut down for a while and couldn't afford paying rent. I should catch rent back up soon. But $777 ain't bad for a 2,000 mile week after everything getting taken out. So I'm not really complaining about it too bad. I would have had a $900 week, but my settlement last paycheck was negative $200, so I would have had a $900. It's 77 degrees here. Let this guy in because there's a checkpoints coming up. Inspection site. 30 miles, y'all. Then I can get these tiles off my trailer. signal tower. Is this? I'm going to go to Chandler, Arizona, visit my aunt. Okay, good. I'm trying. Arizona, pretty spotty. Heartlandic. The earlier I get this delivered, the better I can see my aunt. The more time I can spend. Look, this jackass has a Dallas Cowboy sticker. And he doesn't know. Oh well. Heartland. Story before. I was in North Carolina, and this guy, I flipped off another truck driver, and he was chasing me down, and I was empty, and he was loaded, and he was hauling ass to chase me down, and we got to the side more, so he from his. It was the most funniest thing ever. I told Scott that, and he cracked up. So that's why I don't flip anybody off anymore. I don't want to be. Like, if you're gonna throw a burrito on me, make sure it's not gonna come back and hit you in the fucking hit your door, so you have a big mess to clean up. Like, Jesus Christ, what an idiot! In the parking lot. Well, he chased me down. Hell yeah, people are crazy. He was in a semi also. He needed his license suspended. If I can't say or say it, or I can't say or say I have a gun, because, you know, we're not allowed to carry guns. But I won't be the only one, or I won't be the one that's going into the emergency room if he comes and beats my ass. could barely. If he's keeping it, and I won't get in trouble for it. Are not worth my life. Someone. Holy shit. Come over. Okay, watch. Cut me off. Understand why I still have shitty service. Fucking AT&T. They have fruit in them. If it says fruit snacks, I'm not really. Wait, I don't need to get in them. I don't need. 8.5 miles. Eating fruit snacks again. No. Maybe. I have a 90 count of fruit snacks. Well, I'm definitely in Chandler. Technically 7.8, but 5 more miles till my exit. I gotta get off at exit 153B as a Bravo, Broad Bay Road. Already, holy shit. You think it'd be in Arizona, you'll see a lot more. I know, right? It reminds me of earwigs. I don't know why. I just think your last name is James Earwig. You know those bugs that people say that has a pincher on their assholes? It's alright, people make fun of my last name too. Is the service still bad? It says I have poor connection. I have 5G, I don't understand. .6 miles to my exit. in this lane until it tells me not to. 2 miles to my exit. And I gotta drive 4 miles off the exit. Broadway Road and 52nd Street. That's my exit. 1/4 mile. Police. Their uniforms must be watered in a bit. Holy. Am I going to completely stop? Hell yeah, dude. I had to go fucking... and they don't like to fucking... They don't like to let me over. I don't know why. Do I go straight? Don't ask questions. I don't know where I'm going. It says I go straight. And then 1.5 miles take a U-turn. The fuck? I'm not U-turning. Jackass. I ain't fucking making a U-turn here. Jesus, fuck that. Where am I going? Del Tile. Hold on, guys. I gotta Google this. Del Tile in Tempe. Turn. This. Do 2040 West Rio. So, I think just a little bit up the street. That's 738. What? Whatever. Fuck. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Gotta pull up Google Maps. Back around. What the fuck is this? U-turn? What's... Scott, you need to call me now. Call me now. Call me. Call me. Call me. Please? Please, Scott? What the fuck, dick?